We'll have to do it again. Welcome to QAV Australia 842. It's the 21st of October 2025. TK. We've been talking off air about Martin Scorsese. We'll have to do it after hours. How are you? You well?
Good. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Today I am sporting the
Quite calm.
fit, as the kids say. T-shirt birthday present from yourself. The rules of Fight Club. I wore this when it arrived on my birthday. I wore it into Kung Fu when I still had black eyes and everything. It was perfect. But then the black eye went away and it doesn't make as much sense.
Well, happy
By the
birthday.
way,
It was
thank
a
you.
birthday
Size
present.
L. It was. I love it. It's size L though. I'm a size S now, just letting you know. I mean,
You're
I can
not
still
a
wear it,
size
but
S. You're not a size.
I'm a size S. I'm a size S. I can get away with S or M, depends on the
Seriously?
fit. But yeah. No, if I go buy a shirt now, I look at an S first.
Wow.
If the S is too tight, I'll get an M. But yeah, I've gone from XL down to S in the last year. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Do you want to see my abs?
No. The first rule of QAV is we don't show our abs. We don't talk about them. First rule is we don't talk about them. Second rule is we don't show them.
Oh, come on. That's no fun. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about Kung Fu later. And karate. Actually, we're going to start with this because I got a nice email just before we went to air from Jeff, long-term member down from Melbourne. Good morning, Cam. Hope the family, TK, business life, and Kung Fu all going well. As always, really enjoying the recent podcast. We've been traveling recently and had a few catch-up episodes to listen to. Having done karate for a long time, including some competing, I can relate to your smack in the face, had plenty of cracked ribs as well as a dislocated shoulder. With my QAV portfolio, having been around now since maybe 2022, maybe longer, this year I'm really getting to understand value investing QAV style. In my early years, my portfolio banged around the sleazy wine bar end of the market for a long time, with very average performance combined with inattention to Rule 1 and not updating stop losses. I think at one stage my portfolio was down to 5%. This year, I'm seeing the shiny end. Like many QAV subscribers right now, my portfolio is hovering around 90%. I have 4 stocks over 100%, and MLX in particular is just over 200%. I don't review annual reports, sometimes check on ASX announcements, follow the system, and regularly update my 10% Rule 1s, nothing too complex. Whilst I'm under no illusion that some of my overpriced mining stocks will continue to grow, at some stage revert to the mean, it is reassuring to know that the system works. All the best and keep it coming. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Maybe you and Jeff should get together and see which is better, Kung Fu or karate.
Yeah, we'll have a
Mixed martial
showdown.
art in an
Bruce
octagon.
Lee.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say at the Coliseum,
Mirrors?
Bruce Lee
Okay.
and Chuck Norris style, right? I've shaved all the hair on my chest, so he can't pull it out, but that's what Bruce did to Chuck. So just keep your hairy chest, Jeff. All right, well, speaking of investing, wow, what a week. What a week it has been. 2 weeks, really, since we did our last regular show. We had Gabriel on last week, which people seem to enjoy. Thank you to Gabriel again for coming on and Trent for suggesting him. Well, Trump crashed the market on my birthday by talking about tariffs in the US, but it rebounded. But what didn't rebound is ERD. Oh, my God. ERD. EROAD were down 34% in a day on the 17th of October, then down another 6%. That was on Friday when the market reopened yesterday. I haven't been game to look today. You looked? ERD.
Down again today.
Oh my Gotten Himmel de Wunderplatte, Captain. You know that? Do you get that?
No.
Kenny Rogers show. They had a Captain Kremen. Do you remember Captain Kremen?
I do remember Captain Kremen.
The scientist on the plane would be, Mein Gotten Himmel de Wunderplatte, Captain. That was the only German I know, which Chrissy tells me is not real good German, but they put out a guidance EROAD, which I really love. Like whoever wrote the headline for this deserves a raise. EROAD strengthening focus on ANZ opportunities was the headline of the guidance. So why did the market drop 34% and then another 6% and then more again today if they're strengthening their focus? Well, because the small print was the US market isn't really working as well as we hoped.
Yeah.
They are sort of pulling back on their US market focus. EROAD expects to record an impairment to carrying value of intangible assets relating to the North American region of up to 150 million. Their FY26 guidance, they trimmed, not massively,
Not much,
from
no.
205 million down to 197 to 203. Annualized recurring revenue down from 188 million to 175, 183. But along with this, David Kennison stepped down from his role as co-CEO, effective the end of this month, to spend time with family and pursue the next chapter in his career. So that's nice.
It's very, very magnanimous of him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And they also, by the way, in September, we did announce a while back, I think a year ago, that their CFO had resigned. They've just announced a new CFO, Kiara McGuigan, effective 2nd of September 2025. So they were 10, 11 months without an official CFO, which is interesting. So she's had a great first month on the job.
Huh.
Welcome to the team. Your first job is, issue new guidance. Those options that you got, they're underwater. Anyway, so they still, though, haven't broken, last I checked, any of my sell triggers, but I haven't checked today. So let's have a look.
Can I just add to that? So I read the release, searched the news, couldn't find anything that really would lead to that much of a downgrade. And I sort of thought maybe people are thinking that electronic road user charges are not going to come in as quickly as they thought they were. That's supposition, I don't know. But it seems to be around the North American market. And their exit from it, but buried almost at the bottom of the release in a subheading called Update to FY26 Guidance, blah, 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 North American markets remain challenging, etc., etc. It says, combined with a large legacy North American transport customer not renewing their contract in February 2026, is expected to lead to a slower growth rate in our business this year. Hang on, wind it back. You're getting into the North American market. You've buried at the bottom of a press release that a key customer isn't re-signing, and you've said nothing more about it. We don't know, is that a material customer? We don't know why they're not renewing with you. Were they the only customer? Was their contract income paying for keeping staff there and expanding into the US? Has that contract gone to a competitor? It's bearing the lead, to say the least. I suspect that's what's behind this downgrade. I mean, all those other things are material, but they weren't much. Okay, the co-CEO stood down. Okay, the slight decline in guidance forecast. I was scratching my head to know why it fell off a cliff, and then I get that at the bottom of the announcement, and I'm thinking, hang on, they're getting out of the US. They've lost a big contract there. Why? Tell us more.
So, bad news sell, Tony?
No, bad news does not sell. But as Gabriel said last week, as Warren Buffett said forever, if you have bad news, fess up as soon as you can. Get on the front foot. Yeah, you'll take a hit, but it's a much less of a hit than hiding it and then having it come out later. Wait until I mean, EROAD's a small company, probably isn't covered much by analysts, but wait till an analyst comes out and puts out a paper saying exactly what I've just said. What's the story behind this US contract that hasn't been renewed? And then digs a bit further and finds out it's not great news, and then they publish it. It's a double whammy.
So we do have a a red flag for sudden C-level resignations. This is a co-CEO. Do you red flag this for all of that, or do we just abide by the 3 point? And it's way above its. Like it's still, it was like a superstar in our portfolio.
Yeah.
I have it in the dummy and I have it in a light portfolio. It's still 12% up from when I bought it only in July. Like if it hadn't gone up 70% and then come back, I'd still be like 12% since July. That's not bad. I'm not going to complain about that.
Well,
it's still falling.
It did take off when the productivity roundtable happened. And what it Hasn't that been a huge fireworks on the Australian economic landscape, the productivity
Oh,
roundtable?
I feel so much more productive. I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but yeah, I'm just killing it. I
Well, I
am.
feel more productive because I have to do much more by myself rather than getting someone like somebody else to do it productively.
Yeah.
But yeah, like one of their recommendations was a road user charge for EVs. So it's now
Right.
October. When was the commission? I don't know, months ago. Nothing's happened. The EROAD took off after that because people realised that they were in the box seat to provide the tracking devices to meter the road user charges and charge people.
Mm.
So there was a fair bit of froth in the share price anyway. So there's probably been some. It's been, I think, it's analysts going, yeah, don't need to stick here. Haven't seen the road user charging go through. The problem in America, I'm out.
But back to my question: bad
Is it a
news
red
sell?
flag? Bad
Mm.
news doesn't sell. I don't think it's a red flag. I mean, there's still one CEO who was a co-CEO. He's still there. Yeah, it was probably more of a red flag when the CFO resigned, but now they've replaced them. It may not be. So no, I look, it's
Excellent. You gave it a clean bill of health when the CFO
yeah,
resigned. I have a note on it because
I think
it was a
career move,
you
wasn't it?
know well, it was handled. You know, it wasn't like a sudden show of the
Yeah,
door kind of thing.
not like a Santos.
Wow, we'll get to that.
Mm, thought we might.
But before we get to that, SRG, just as a counterpoint, up 35% in the last 30 days.
Pretty good.
SRG Global provided that this was on the 14th of October, this announcement. SRG Global provided that the company to acquire 100% of TAMS, the company that makes Tim Tams. No, but wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't you love to, oh my God. I wouldn't be able to show you my abs if I owned the company that owns Tim Tams, I tell you. God, I love Tim Tams. I swear, like,
Really?
oh,
Okay.
I can't buy them. It's one of those things. I can't buy them and
Mm,
have one. I'll eat the whole box. Tams and Maltesers are just crack.
yeah. Yeah.
No, TAMS is an end-to-end diversified marine infrastructure services partner with a 25-plus year history and full self-perform capability. My priest told me that would make you go blind, but that's another story. The acquisition implies an FY26 EBITDA multiple 2.7 times, EBIT multiple of 3.2 times, and is expected to be 25% EPSA accretive to FY26 earnings pre-synergies. Oh, I love a good pre-synergy. TAMS is an expert in design, engineering, construction, maintenance, and remediation services through long-term relationships with owners and users of critical port and marine infrastructure. So congratulations, SRG. And how are they doing today? They're still going up. Still going up.
So this is interesting because I mean it's certainly had acquisitions in the past, so it's a bit of an engineering company roll up, but it's one of the few occasions when the acquirer goes up after an acquisition. Oftentimes it's obviously the target company. This one wasn't listed, but lots of fund managers are skeptical of acquisitions because they're often overpaid for. But this one was received really positively, so good on them.
I added them to the dummy and the light portfolio in August of 24. They're up 170, 190%.
In a year.
Year and a bit, year and change. Yeah. So good job to them. So it's, some go up, some go down. Speaking of going down, Findi got a please explain on my birthday from the
Pauline?
ASX.
Oh, from the ASX.
Yeah. From Pauline. No, it's from Barnaby Joyce.
I was going to say, there's a bit of please explaining going on in the National Party at the moment, isn't there?
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Their response for Findi, this is, in reference to your letter dated 9th of October 2025, Findi Limited provides the following responses to your queries in number order. 1, the company is not aware of any information concerning it that has not been announced to the market, which, if known by some in the market, could explain the recent trading in its securities. Number 2, NA. Number 3, the board of Findi is aware that the former vice chairman of its Indian subsidiary has posted false and misleading comments about the company on social media. Findi can confirm that it will be taking legal action relating to the social media post. So somebody in our Facebook group did share a
Oh,
screenshot
well,
of
just
that.
if they're taking legal action, just be careful before you rebroadcast it.
Yes. Well, they did say it had been deleted or something, but yeah. So he's been spreading rumors. The shares have continued to fall after they came out with this, though.
Wonder
So I'm
why.
not sure the market's buying it.
Mhm.
They
Well,
went up a
without
bit.
telling us what it says, what did you buy? What the previous, what was he, head of the
Yeah, the
Findi Bank or
former
whatever?
vice chairman of the Indian subsidiary.
Hmm.
Honestly, I didn't pay much attention. I didn't record because
Okay.
it seemed like gossip and innuendo. But
Yeah.
it suggested that there was some fakery going on with their numbers in
Right.
India,
Okay.
etc., etc. But the
Well,
shares are down massively, and in our
putting that aside
taking a.
again,
Mm,
sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
Putting that aside, I went through their most recent announcement. The share price went down again when they put out an update recently, and there were a couple of things in there which I hadn't picked up on before. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't announced them before because I don't follow this stock, but in a they put out a business update recently, and the shares went down 11% after the update went out. And again, there was a couple of things in there which I admit I hadn't heard before. So they may be announcing them for the first time, or I may just not have picked up on it before. But anyway, there was a couple of disruptions to their plan. So there was a significant disruption, first of all, due to delays in securing ATM rollout funding. And that was compounded with 560 ATMs taken offline prior to their planned rollout replacement. And as yet, those machines have not been replaced, negatively impacting revenue. And then there was another disruption for 45 days during the integration of an online system. I think it's some kind of online banking, IT, digital company, which depressed revenue as well. So again, hats off to them for at least putting those two things in their recent business update. But if maybe that's the first time they've come out, in which case the market went okay and saw that and dropped the share price 10%. Or maybe it's a summary of what's been out before. But, if you're going out saying there's been two disruptions to your plans, that's probably the obvious reason why the share price has gone down, I would have thought, in response to the ASX query. But anyway, look, the business progresses. Everything else seems to be going okay. They plan to get a banking license. They're rolling out a lot of ATMs in India, and they plan to list part of the business on the Indian Stock Exchange. So it's broadly what they said they were going to do last year, and what got the share price moving. It looks like they've hit a few speed bumps along the way.
Well, too late for me. I had to sell them out of
Right.
our portfolio. I think they were up like 200% at one stage, and I had to rule one them. So.
Mm.
And which led to a conversation in our Facebook group, people talking about maybe revisiting the idea that we have on a regular basis. Maybe we should sell a stock. We should have a rule to sell after a stock declines from a high point.
Mm-hmm.
What would Tony say? And I said, I know what Tony would say. Tony would say, do whatever helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
However, I'm not going to do that. And as a counterexample, I mean, we have lots. We used to use FMG, but I used a new one, which was Parenti. If you look at Parenti's history, just over the last year, it went up dramatically from September 24 to the beginning of 25, then dropped 23%. Now, if we had a rule to sell 20% below a new peak, we would have sold it, but then it bounced back up. And then it dropped another 35% in March. Could have sold it again. Then it bounced back up, and then it kept going and kept going and kept going, and has not stopped. It is up. Let me see, PRN, since I added it in, oh God, I've got like 7 parcels of this. May 24 was my first purchase. It's up 177%. That was for the dummy portfolio since then. My most recent purchase was just September this year. It's up 14%. But yeah, it's that was for my super. Oh, I got another portfolio in my super going back to November 24, which is up 129%. But yeah, it's like the counterpoint to that, right?
Yeah.
It's had big drops, but then recovered massively.
Yeah,
So
look, it's going to be a question which we're going to face, and I suspect the next 12 months at some stage, because the
yeah,
market's been going up. I'm not going to say crazily, it's been going up. A lot of our stocks are at highs, and eventually they won't be at highs. That's just, no tree grows to the sky. Mathematically, it's not possible. Some of them will come back for whatever reasons, which is why we have rules. So ideally, like I own Parenti, I'll declare that. Ideally, I want to hold it for the rest of my life. So I don't want to sell it when it drops 20% or 30% when it's been doing
yeah,
well for me. It's a good business. I
yeah.
want to keep holding it. So the downside is, I don't own Findi, but if I did, I got rid of Findi.
Mm,
I'm not going to hold it for the rest of my life. But the upside is, Parenti could be a 20 bagger. We just don't know.
mm,
Which is, but if it is, it's going to just dramatically dwarf the loss we took from Findi. So whilst it's hard, I mean, if this is what the system's for,
mm-hmm,
if we just
mm,
trust human psychology, things get hard, we
mm,
make mistakes.
mm.
Maybe selling Findi now is a mistake. Maybe they'll go back up again. But if it does, no doubt it'll come back up on our buy list, or maybe it'll come back up on our buy list and it'll be a buy again. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah. But like as you said, the rules are there to prevent emotion getting in the way of rational decisions. We do have sell triggers in
Mhm.
place, if to cut our losses when things seem to be hitting major hurdles. But at the same time, we're trying to buy good businesses when we can get them at a discount and ride them as long as we can. As long as we can.
And that's the issue, Cam, is it's really hard to know when a stock is at its peak. A lot of people have done, lots of work on that. And maybe it's, when it gets to be a certain proportion above our IV, we have to sell it. Or maybe when it's so far down the buy list, it was on the buy list, but now the price has taken it off the buy list. There could be a rule around that. Today, I haven't found one, and neither has anyone else. Some people I know who listen to the show use instead of a 5-year monthly graph, they might use a 3-year or a 1-year monthly graph, which means that, as you say, they got out of Findi when it was at a higher price, but they also got out of Parenti when it was at a higher price.
Yeah.
And Parenti's gone on and Findi hasn't. So, yeah. So, I'm not saying any of this is perfect. I'm just saying it's worked for me.
Yeah. But do what you need to do to sleep at night.
Yeah, and tell us your results if you,
Like
you
me,
know,
take sleeping tablets.
if you're getting better results than we talk about, don't you? Let us know.
What have you got in your list of talking points? I'll take a break.
Okay. What have I got? Let me have a look. I wondered whether we should put a red flag on SXL, Southern Cross Media, after the interview last week, because Gabriel raised some good points about a kind of takeover that may not be the best for shareholders. And, I know red flags are there for a particular reason, that the CFO resigns or the CEO resigns unexpectedly, and it looks like they're resigning because they didn't want to abide by what the company was doing. But I think Gabriel made a good argument to say that this takeover wasn't in the best interests of Southern Cross shareholders, and it should get put to a vote. It's not going to be. And there was an article in today's ASX around that, saying that the ASX is now going to is proposing to change their rules to give investors more say on these kinds of deals. Mainly, I mean, maybe Gabriel's having an effect, but mainly because of the James Hardie situation, where same sort of deal, they wanted to buy an American company and issued a lot of shares without asking the James Hardie investors whether they wanted to do that. And now the
Yeah.
ASX is now saying that, they're floating a rule change that if the company that's acquiring proposes to issue more than 25% shares to do so, it should go to a shareholder vote. Whereas currently it's 100% is the hurdle. And they'll keep the 100% in place for small companies. So, because, companies like smaller miners will often issue a lot of shares to take over another company. But having said that, even so, I mean, why shouldn't the shareholders of a small mining company get a vote on whether they should do it or not? So anyway, But yeah, I thought we might put a red flag on SXL, Cam. What do you think?
Well, I've already got a note listed that it's undergoing the merger with Seven West Media, which to me is sort of a quasi,
Yeah, we wouldn't touch
like,
it anyway, would we?
yeah, like I tend to stay away from those things. Like it's
Yeah.
nice to nice if you already own it when they go
Hmm.
into merger talks, but yeah, it just gets too messy and complicated when they're in the middle of it. It's already announced, so yeah, it's sort of a not a red flag, maybe an orange flag, but yeah, already.
Yeah. All right.
But my question was going to be, if we were to put a red flag on it because of that, what's the rule? Like red flags need a rule.
Whatever sand and capital is
Yeah,
being
whatever
acted
Gabriel
against. Yeah.
says. Just keep a list of Gabriel's
Yeah.
targets.
Well, he talked about Karoon Energy, and I think they've just become a sell on the buy list as well. So whatever he was agitating for there, looks like it hasn't come to pass, and they've crashed as well.
Gabriel's, you're in Gabriel's sights.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
What else have I got? I'm gonna claim a win here, Cam. The government's backflipped on its superchanges. Sorry, they're not going to tax unrealised gains for large superannuation accounts. Yep.
What?
Yeah. So this is. I was going to talk about it last week, but we had the interview with Gabriel, so I'll raise it now. People will have heard about this, but after 2 years of heated debate, the Albanese government has abandoned its plan to tax unrealised gains in superannuation, replacing it with a more balanced framework. From July 1, 2026, earnings on balances between 3 million and 10 million will be taxed at 30%, and earnings above 10 million at 40%. Both thresholds will be indexed, and only realised gains will be counted. So that's a win for common sense. So good on them for coming around to their senses, because with the mandate that the current government has, they could easily have put that through the Senate. But I think there's been enough people like me saying, hey, come on, this is an unworkable, unrealistic approach to the issue, that they've changed it. So good on them. And good on us for fighting about it. All those TikTok users who didn't like it. Bloody hell.
Yeah, well done, rich men. Congratulations on your rare victory in society to keep more of your wealth. That's a real milestone in
Can we put
human
up an
history.
arch? Did you see the secret photo of Trump Arch that's going up next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the 250th.
Modelled on the Arc de Triomphe.
Correct, yeah. We should put that up.
Yeah. An arch for rich white men.
Unrealised tax gains victory arch. Anyway,
well,
good to have a win.
Speaking of unrealised gains, ANZ Group halts share buyback, redirects funds to strategic revamp. They had announced, we have been talking about share buybacks a bit on the show, and you had made the point, as had some other people, that just an announcement doesn't mean anything because sometimes they don't go ahead. Well, here's a big example. They had announced an $800 million share buyback and have decided they're not going to do that. They're going to achieve $800 million in cost savings before tax through job reductions and restructuring. So
build another
there you go.
arch.
There's a win.
Another triumphal arch. Or get the 800 people who are no, sorry, I shouldn't make light of that. It's not good.
I'm a shareholder. Are you going to get them to build the arch, or are you going to? Yeah. Some good news and some bad news. Dispute. Bad news is you don't have a job. The good news is
you're now CFMEWU members.
Yeah.
No,
so what do you think?
That. Well, I do. I'm an ANZ shareholder, so I think the decisions that are being taken by Mr. Matos, the new CEO, are being look like they're good, and are being rewarded by the market. The market threatened he was going to cut the dividend, which is one of the reasons to own ANZ, because it's a high yielding stock. And he's come out and said, no, I'd rather pay that dividend than forget about the buyback. And the market went, yeah. So my shares in ANZ are up quite a lot this year. So I don't know the exact amount, 20 to 30%, which suits me fine. So, there's been some analysis after the investor day they did last Monday to say that they're, as Sir Humphrey would say, they were bold targets, very brave. But that's
Very
fine.
brave
CEOs
minister.
meant to set bold, brave targets. What did he was the guy who said he wrote Good to Great, Jim Collins. He said you should have bold, hairy, audacious goals, and this is maybe one of
BHAG.
those. BHAGs,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't have a problem with that. If they're audacious, let's aim for the stars and hit the roof. But I'm glad they're making sensible decisions. No, now I'm putting aside the cutting of staff. That's always a hard one. I don't know if that's right or not. As Charlie Munger used to say, every business has a right number of staff, and sometimes it's above and sometimes it's below. So, I don't know. But I was pleased to see that things like the ANZ One platform, I think it was called, is being put to bed. It was always promised to be delivered soon under the previous management. And now it looks like they're going to deliver a front end only, and they'll do some work on the systems down the track, which is not a bad get out of progressing on an endless IT project going nowhere. So that was good to hear. They're promising more synergies from the Suncorp merger. So the Suncorp? No, it was Suncorp, yeah. The Queensland Bank anyway. So there's lots of things to like about ANZ at the moment, I think.
I've held it in my super since November 23. It's up 46%. And I've got another parcel since July of this year. It's up 22%. And it's in the dummy portfolio. It's in all of the light portfolios. And it always surprises me when I buy one of those like large cap banks, telcos. I never expect them to go anywhere, but every now and again they do. So there you go.
How about that? They're on our buy list and they go up.
Well, there's been plenty of times when I've bought them or Telstra or NAB or Macquarie, and they just shit the bed. So, occasionally they win. It's one of those things when I see them and they're the next thing to buy, and I'm like, oh God, this isn't going to end well, but I'm going to do it because that's what it says, and nice when it works out.
No, I'm quite pleased to hold them. And it was one, I remember last week when Gabriel said they were the one bank you shouldn't hold. And I was like, so maybe we need the Gabriel inverse rule. We red flag things he buys and we buy things he disses.
The old inverse Gabriel. Yeah. Well, we did hint at this before. Santos's CFO, Sherry Dewey, I'm not sure how she pronounces that, Douay, resigns. They've appointed Lachlan Harris as acting CFO. She's resigned to pursue other interests. Maybe arts and crafts. Not sure exactly what it is. But, sort of a sudden resignation, Tony, of a CFO. Did she give a leaving date? The press release I've got doesn't mention one. Gone. Left the building?
Yeah, so there was an article about it in today's paper in the AFR, and she was asked, summarising it, she went to the CEO and said, look, I'm not a good fit here. My style is not your style. He said, okay, don't resign, give me some time to change. She went, I don't know if she'd also written to the board at the same time. Anyway, the board, the chairman contacted her recently and said, sorry, you should leave. So she's gone.
So connected it all to the takeover collapsing in September, do you think?
No, she has, well, we don't know exactly what's going on. She's intimated that there was a cultural problem with the CEO, or that his culture wasn't her culture. So
right,
that could be it. But I think there's now let me read it from the AFR today. There was an article about it. Let me find it. So that's what's happened. A couple of comments about it. Where is it now? I should have highlighted my notes. Juhi, I'll pronounce it phonetically. Juhi is the latest senior Santos figure to exit the company. Brett Woods quit as chief operating officer to take over as chief executive at the Stokes family. Back to Beach Energy in 2023. Jane Norman, vice president for strategy, left that year to run Cooper Energy, now Amplitude Energy, and due he declined to sign a non-disclosure agreement offered to her by Spence, who's the chairman, which would have allowed her to retain a so-called good leaver status. That status typically brings substantial financial benefits on departure. So she's only there for a year, so I don't know whether there would have been substantial benefits. Perhaps there were, but if she didn't want to sign an NDA in exchange for money, then that's also saying that she's feeling pretty emotional about the situation, I guess is probably a good way to put it. So yeah, I think it's time for a red flag on Santos. They've had departures. They've had, I think this is the second time an acquisition has fallen over, and that's always a bad sign. I mean, to be fair, the acquisitions could have fallen over because one of the most recent one was by a Saudi company, and so they may not have gotten all the approvals through the government to acquire Santos. But it's also possible that an acquirer had a good look at the books, closer than we can see as retail investors at arm's length, and went, oh, okay, we don't like what we see. Who knows? But it's not a good look. 2 failed acquisitions, key staff leaving. It's probably time to red flag this. I don't know what else. I don't know what else they can do not to red flag it, really.
Yeah. Speaking of red flags, Donald Trump red flagged Kevin Rudd today.
Yeah. Well, everyone, yeah. That I think everyone in Australia did that when he got rid of him as prime minister. So now it's spread to the US.
A great line.
What did Barry Humphrey say about Kevin Rudd? Australia has elected a dentist.
Well, he came into power in a very strong landslide.
Indeed.
But I just love the fact that he's the Australian ambassador to the US. He's sitting at the table, and Trump says, "Where is he? Is he still working for you?" Albanese then pointed to Rudd, who was sitting on the opposite side of the table. Rudd, who once called Trump a traitor to the West, told the president that happened before I took this position. I don't like you either, and I probably never will, Trump said. Didn't know who he was a minute ago. Then he says, I don't like you either, and I probably never will. So
how long can that guy keep his job then?
Yeah, I wouldn't think very long. And what's he been doing if the president doesn't even know who he is? Like the prime minister, how does the prime minister have a meeting with the president
and point out the ambassador?
And the president doesn't even know who the ambassador is.
He's the guy sitting opposite you, over there.
Yeah, this guy right next to me. This guy here.
I know.
Good times. Bank of Queensland, speaking of banks, announced their Q4 2025 earnings report. Shareholders will receive a bigger dividend than last year. So the ANZ's pulling their divs. The BOQ is increasing their divs.
Maintaining their divs.
What? Oh,
ANZ's
sorry, share
divs.
buyback
Yeah.
they're pulling, not the divs. Pulling the buyback. Bank of Queensland's increasing their divs. What do you think about that? They've announced an increase in its dividend to 20 cents, but concerns about the sustainability of its dividend payments are raised due to inadequate earnings coverage. The payment will take the dividend yield to 5.6%, which is in line with the average for the industry. Any thoughts on that, TK?
Oh, look, I had a look at their results, and I mean, like a lot of the regional banks, they're struggling. I spoke about this when I did the pulled pork on them. They've got a higher cost of capital than the major banks, which makes it harder for them to maintain margins when they're offering mortgages. And they've been doing some work recently to try and offload some parts of the business which don't have the high or the ROE targets that they're after, which is kind of a classic investment banker approach to a portfolio, and it's understandable. The banking analysts kind of scratched their heads and said, that may not work, or it may not end well, but they're ramping it up and doing some more. So, look, Bank of Queensland. I mean, Jenny was on the board there, so I knew a little bit about it a year or two ago, and she's been off the board now for a while. So I don't know as much about it as I did then, or pay as closer attention to it as I did then. Jenny still owns some shares in the bank. I'll declare that. But yeah, I mean, it's doing.
Well, she should have sold them because they're a 3-point trend line sell, and they have been for a couple of months.
I told her that, but she can't. She's locked in for a time period.
Okay.
probably said more than I
Sorry.
wanted to, but anyway. Yeah, I had been telling her to sell them, but she hasn't.
I thought you were going to say she goes, yeah, I don't believe QAV works.
No, she does.
Okay.
No. So look, it's improving, but it's in a tough sector of the industry, and they're doing. They hit headlines last year when they were starting to buy back some of the franchisees who run Bank of Queensland bank branches, which was the right thing for the bank to do. Maybe not for the franchisees. And I think there's still ongoing action around that, but it was the right thing to do. So yeah, it's tough, and they're taking action. I haven't looked at their dividend coverage. If that's an issue, then it's a bit of a gamble on them making enough money in the future to cover the dividend without borrowing. But when they start to borrow, if anyone starts to borrow to cover a dividend, it's a bad sign. So yeah, I'm not that familiar with Bank of Queensland other than what I've just said.
Well, I sold them anyway in September, so irrelevant to me, but just in case anyone else didn't sell them when it was a 3-point sell, you're getting a bigger dividend. Good for you. Got anything else before you do your pork?
Yeah, I do. I had some late news coming in about Super Retail Group, another share in my portfolio. The stock was up 2% this morning, but I think it's gone back a little bit since then. But SUL, Super Retail Group, have announced the appointment of an internal candidate. Paul Bradshaw is the Group Managing Director and CEO. That he was the person who led BCF, which is the boating, camping, fishing section of Super Retail Group since 2019, and BCF has broadly outperformed Super Retail's other divisions over the past 5 years. BCF's current General Manager of Retail Operations will become the Managing Director of BCF. So that was the announcement this morning. But good to hear that they've recruited from inside, and hopefully they can put behind them all the issues they've been having with the CEO leaving and some key staff whistleblowing, et cetera, et cetera. Their AGM, I think, is coming up, or is this week. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. It was an expected protest vote against the chair, but we'll see what happens.
I'm just checking them in the Breadalator. Surprisingly, they're not a sell too. They're well above their sell line.
Another example of something you hold that went up and came down, and now it's going back up again. I think it touched its sell line for a day, and I didn't notice, and then it went back up again, so I kept it, but it could have been a sell along the way as well.
Yeah, it's sort of peaked at the end of September 2024 at $18. Then it was down to just below 13 by March of 25. So dropped, what's that, like almost 30% in 6 months. And then it rebounded back to $19. It's currently at about 17. It's come back a little bit, but yeah, there you go. Nice.
Okay, pull corp time. So,
well, before you do that,
yeah,
will we do Paul? You want to do Paul's question first?
Yeah, sure. What's Paul's question? Oh, yes, about bullion.
Bullion. Every day for the past month, a queue of people has become forming out the Australian Bullion Company in Martin Place. The queue starts building around 9:30 a.m. and doesn't really dissipate until early afternoon. Today, I estimate the queue at 11 a.m. to be around 1,500 people.
Wow.
Winding around the corner and down Martin Place. According to the AFR, they are all looking to buy gold and silver bullion. But why? Because the price has doubled, or a fear of social collapse? Has Tony seen behaviour like this before? Is it evidence of a market top, of a tulip panic, or something else entirely? Your thoughts are welcome. I'm just glad I bought Volt when it appeared on the buy list.
Yeah, I mean, gold miners have been doing great. And, they're going up substantially, and they may well become the next example of something which drops from its high point. Could be sign of a top. I don't know. I mean, the line outside of the bullion company is just classic retail theatre, isn't it? You have something, you put a velvet rope in front of it and create a line, and automatically people focus their attention on it, as Paul has done. It's great marketing for them, great publicity for the store.
You bring in buses of people from Bendigo, from the countryside, from Bendigo, to come and stand out in line.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Pay them
Or
$10 an hour to stand in line.
or you go to a jewelry store and buy some gold and then walk up and down the line selling it to them at a markup.
I remember that's when Bowie first tried to break into the US in the early 70s and couldn't get arrested. That's what his manager, Tony DeFries, I think it was, then did, was just, hire people to come and stand in line at the front of the concert venue and,
Yeah. And of
make
course,
him look famous.
it's great publicity. Not great service, though. I mean, they've got a couple of doors up. I mean, I've seen this line before when I lived in Sydney when I was travelling into Martin Place for whatever. But it's a couple of doors up from the Commonwealth Bank and down from ANZ or vice versa. You know, if Commonwealth Bank had one teller on and the queue went out the door, there'd be a huge outcry. So I wonder how many tellers are on at the bullion.
But it's gold, Tony.
It's gold.
It's gold.
I guess a couple of comments. I don't know whether it's indicative of it's certainly indicative of the gold price rising. I don't know if that means it's at the top. It's almost like the same frenzy that Bitcoin has. People are buying it because it's going up. I guess there are other reasons. The first question is, why wouldn't they buy a gold ETF and just stay at home, or a blue chip miner? So is there some kind of survivalist mentality going on here? Do they worry the system may break and their ETFs are going to drop, or their gold mines are going to drop? But if they buy gold, they've still got it. Perhaps that's fair.
Well,
but they don't have it, is my understanding. Some people do buy it and walk out the door with a small ingot, but my understanding is they're buying it and storing it in the vault there, or they're buying it and taking it to another bank and storing it there. So they've got holding costs. Sorry, you're going to say something?
I was just going to say, I remember very clearly in Mad Max 2 when Max wasn't getting the oil tanker, he was running a post-apocalyptic fine jewelry store in the wastelands. That's because people always tell me when society collapses, it's all going to be about gold, man. Yeah, remember that
Probably
very clearly.
More about water and food, but yeah.
No,
You're right.
Fine jewelry.
Gold's just the doorstop, really, isn't it? In itself. If there is Armageddon, having gold's not going to help, as you say. And also, too, my comment to the people in the line, they should realise the line's going to be a lot worse when it comes time to sell, right? If it's a line of 1,500 people trying to get him to buy the thing, when it drops 20 or 30%, it's going to be a line of 10,000 people trying to sell on the same day. There'll be fisticuffs in Martin Place.
Well, the thing I always bear in mind. I did make a TikTok about this yesterday, and I made another one today, which I haven't published yet. But one of the points I was making is if the people selling the gold really believed what you believe, they wouldn't be selling it. They'd be hoarding it. If gold is going to be worth X more in the future, or as the backstop when society collapses, wouldn't the people that own the gold be hoarding it instead of selling it for your dirty fiat government cash money?
Yeah, quite possibly.
They obviously don't believe that story.
No.
And they own all the gold.
Well, I don't know where the bullion buys it from, but yeah, I take your point. Or the bullion company buys it from. Yeah.
It's like, it's greater fool theory in action.
It is, isn't it? And the sad thing is, I think the article I read in the Fin Review about it, and there's been a number of articles about this issue and the gold bullion company and people buying retail gold, is you see photographs of mum there with a kid buying gold and giving it to the kid and to teach them about investing. And that's fine, but I'm really hoping when the price drops, and it will at some stage, mum doesn't sell the gold and teach the kid how to buy high and sell low. That's their education.
And we've talked about this before over the years, but stocks massively outperform gold over the long term. And gold has remained stagnant for decades at a time. I think through the 80s and 90s into the 2000s, gold was pretty stagnant. And again, a few years ago, it was stagnant for quite a few years. So it goes through spikes when people are panicking and they think gold. But again, it's a manipulated market. The people that are hyping it and selling it, as as I said at the end of the TikTok video, do you know what the investing industry calls people who buy something because the price is going up? Fresh meat.
Yeah,
That's what it is, right?
exactly.
It's, it's like come in spinner, really.
Yeah, and if I had a gold mine and I couldn't sell all my gold, I'd be going, let's open a retail Martin place.
Yeah.
The price is going up. We'll offload the full mining quota.
Yeah. And look, I can look at the gold price over the last 10 years and go, well, it would have been good to own that. Or I can look at Bitcoin over the last 5 years and think it would have been good to own that. But the point is always, this is again what I'm trying to get across in the TikTok videos, at any given point in time with gold or Bitcoin or Beanie Babies, because it has no genuine underlying value, you don't know whether it's currently overvalued or
Yes,
undervalued
that's
because
right.
it has no underlying value. So your decision to buy it at any given point in time is based on hope that it's going to keep going up. There's really no genuine, rational, logical reason to buy it except that you think it's going to keep going up. You believe it's going to keep going up. It's
With conviction.
faith. Right. And you can be lucky, but we know that luck never lasts forever. He said before, a tree never grows to the sky, and neither does
Mm.
luck. It always, it's not a long-term
Gamblers ruin.
strategy. Yeah.
You win for a long time and then you fail.
Yeah, right. You have to. I
Yeah.
mean, because there's no science or logic or rational thinking behind it, which is what you've done with QAV, is given us a rational basis for thinking this stock is currently undervalued and therefore, odds are that it will go up over time. It will regress to the mean, revert to the, not revert, regress
Yeah,
really, revert to the
reverse.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my question to the people standing in line is, okay, you want to buy gold, it's going up. What's your sell strategy? When do you sell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, if the person said, I buy it, take it home. If it goes up 10%, I come back and sell it. That's not going to work because there are transaction fees and holding costs. It's
Right.
I'd love to know what they are, but the bullion company aren't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're taking a cut and then they're storing it for you. Again, not out of the goodness of their heart. It's Martin Place rentals here. It's going to be expensive. Plus, if they're storing it for you, it's going to be in a big vault, which costs them money. So,
Yeah.
and then the article was talking about they're now sort of doing things like selling ingots with holes in them so you can wear it as jewelry, and they're at a big markup to the gold price. So it's like, they're making money wherever they can and margin wherever they can. And good luck to them. But I wish these people going in there had a framework that they announced, that they enunciated and understood.
Jimmy the Hat waiting around the corner for when you walk out with it hanging around your neck.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I hope that's not going on. The other thing I hope's not going on, and I don't want to cast aspersions on the company but I'm hoping those people aren't laundering cash. I'd love to know whether the AML laws that apply to banks and deposits of $10,000 or more apply to the bullion company. I guess they do. I hope they do. What the reporting is there, whether people are coming in with, what percentage of the transactions are in cash. Because it seems to me a very easy way to launder money if I was so inclined.
I got to go. I've got a business idea. I'll be back. Jimmy Hats.
That is a business idea, isn't it? Just blocks of wood, Beanie Babies to all the bikies in the world. You want to launder your money? Give it to me, because I know this is going to go up in value, and I'll buy it off you. You can buy it. I'll buy it back when it goes up. Yeah. Then we clear off with the cash.
All right, pulled pork time.
Yeah. So Dusk. I know I've spoken about Dusk before because I know it floated back during the time we've been doing these shows. I don't know if I did a pulled pork on it because I think it was at the listing. But anyway, it's back on the buy list today. It's been going down for the last four odd years since it listed, 5 years maybe. So yeah, I think it's worth revisiting. They have new management. They in the middle of a turnaround, and their latest results were good. So it's come back on the buy list, and it's just crossed over its buy price. So it's only 1 cent above its buy price today when I'm doing the analysis on the 21st of October. It's about 10% above its sell price. So, don't be, if you're thinking about looking into this company, just check the bread loader and see if it's still above its buy price. Not a big company. It's come down a lot in size, and the ADT is only $60,000, which is smallish, but will be of interest to some people who listen to this. It listed on the ASX in 2020 at $2, and it's now trading at 90 cents, 90.5 cents. So it's less than half than what it listed at, and it climbed as high as $3.85 within about 12 months, and then started dropping. So couple of things to comment about that. It was listed during or around the time of COVID. It was doing tremendously well out of online sales because of COVID. And when COVID finished, things kind of regressed to the mean a little bit there. But it was also, I guess, proof of the old adage not to buy from private equity. And the company was owned by Catalyst Partners, and they held 25% of Dusk at listing, but they sold down over the following 12 months. And I think they got out over the first couple of years. We've seen that model before when companies are taken private, or this one always was private, was bought by private equity, and then at the right time was floated on the share market. They got out, stock has dropped to half what it listed at. So, and a quarter of the stock high price. So not saying Catalyst did anything wrong. Certainly not saying that. They were smart and timed their exit well. But it has proved a bit of an adage over the years not to buy from PE. So anyway, I just make that point going in. If someone had bought Dusk before and nursing a loss, just be careful next time. Who are they? So people in Australia listening to this will probably know about them. They're a retail store. They offer, I'll call them smelly items to female customers. That's my sort of short take on them. I'm doing them a disservice because they sell home fragrance products according to their website. They offer a range of branded premium quality products at competitive prices from physical stores and online stores. Product range is designed in-house and exclusive to Dusk. Dusk has grown to become the leading Australian omni-channel specialty retailer focused on home fragrance products. The product offerings include candles, diffusers, essential oils, and fragrance-related homewares. That kind of summarizes it. People will have walked past the store, smelt the aromas, and get a fair idea of what they're selling inside. And look, it's a classic, it's the same sort of model as Officeworks or Bunnings or whatever. They're a category killer for that particular niche part of the retail market. So good luck to them. Their history. So before becoming the leading candle retailer in Australia, this is according to an article in Power Retail, Dusk was a single store in Perth, opened in 2000 by a chap called David Stratton. And in just over 20 years, the retailer had opened a further 114 stores. It's opened more than that now. It's about 150. And it has launched a successful online platform. And in 2020, the retailer floated. Just want to flesh that out a bit more. It's an interesting sort of history. So they did start in Perth around 2000. They attracted the attention of a chap called Brett Blundy. And anybody who follows Australian retail would know about Brett Blundy. He's one of the most successful retailers in Australia. He took ownership or an ownership stake in the store in 2006. Catalyst Partners brought in, and they bought half the business in 2010. And then they also bought Adairs, another company which has been on our buy list in the past. So they have Adairs and Dusk. And the founder left the company at that stage. So Dusk was in the hands of private equity and Blundy, and that's when things started to change. So by 2015, Dusk had sold its factories and was importing candles from Asia and fragrances from Europe. Logistics were broken up and outsourced, and the store rollout began. All this happened under the watch of the current chief executive, Peter King, so current at the time of float, I'll say, who joined Dusk in 2014. This is an article from Intelligent Investor that I'm sort of cherry-picking from, and it was done when Dusk floated, but it's a good insight into their history. So they stopped manufacturing candles, started importing them. The article reads, these changes may have upset candle purists, but they resulted in sensational returns. Until 2020, Dusk was generating gross margins of about 65%, and had EBIT margins over 10%. The company reduced its cost of doing business from about 60% of revenue down to under 50%. The store network grew to 118 when they listed, with plans to grow to 160. It's now about 150. And average revenue per store was around $800,000 per year, which is pretty good. Et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that Brett Blundy brought to bear was his retail nous. So this article says, Dusk tends to target store space in B and C grade malls where it can negotiate lower leases. It typically signs leases of 3 to 5 years and uses renewals to capture refurbishment incentives from mall owners. That lease strategy helps explain how lease costs have fallen consistently. That helps with cost, but the real money is made by combining high inventory turnover with high margins. In plain English, Dusk is good at selling things quickly for a lot more than it costs to make them. And that's not easy to do. Most retail involves a trade-off between margins and how quickly product is sold. Supermarkets, for example, sell lots of products at low margins. A jeweler does the opposite. Dusk now appears to be another example of someone who can do both. Another standout feature is low-cost customer acquisition. Dusk operates one of the most successful loyalty programs in retail, with a paid rewards program that currently has over 600,000 members. Those members represent a customer base that can be tracked, marketed to, and drawn in store, etc., etc. So that was an article by a chap called Gaurav Sodhi, which was a good analysis of Dusk. One more article I just want to run through before getting to the numbers. The results first and numbers. This comes from Market Index recently, after the results came out, and this was written. Kerry Sun at Market Index wrote this. Here's what makes Dusk interesting. Strip away the disappointing operational performance, and he was talking about in the past, and you'll find an unusual valuation story. Dusk trades at a 55 million market cap, but holds 20.2 million in net cash and 17.3 million of inventory. This means investors are effectively paying just 17.5 million for the underlying business, or roughly 4 times the 4.5 million net profit for FY25. That's an extraordinary low multiple that creates significant leverage to any earnings recovery. And he goes on in the article to say that he thinks the business is positioned like the Reject Shop was before it was taken over by Dollarama. So interesting analogy, interesting comparison there made by Kerry's son. To go through the results, this is the most recent FY25 numbers. Sales were up 8.7%. Importantly, like-for-like sales were up 7.1%. And that's important for a retailer. It means that sales are not just driven by store growth, but it also means that if they do grow stores, they can be open confidently because the operating model works and they're growing above GDP, above CPI, which is good. It's repeat business is there. It means the margins are strong, so that's great. Online sales were up 50%, but online sales were still only 7.8% of total. So generally, I would think there's room to double this. Most retailers are getting around 14, 15% online sales normally if they're in this kind of sort of omni-channel situation with a big store network. So room to improve online, but the sales are up. Gross profit was up 7.5% and EBIT was up 23%. And most of that was down to a renewal strategy. So management changed a couple of years ago, new CEO. He's now spent time replacing key positions, and he calls the renewal a 4-part plan: talent renewal, product rejuvenation, customer base expansion, and better omni-channel experience. What does that all mean? He's placing emphasis on sales skills in store, training for in-store staff, rather than the focus that was on operational training. There's been a turnover in key roles, as I said. New store formats are being trialled well. There are merchandising tie-ins, for example, with the Beetlejuice movie and play that was on in Australia in the last 12 months. The digital experience and marketing is being focused on and improved. They've started doing click and collect, and those sales are growing. They're implementing a Salesforce CRM package next year, which they're hoping to improve their marketing with. And their current member program, which remember you have to pay to be a part of, is now 50%, it's 57% penetration to sales. So that's going well and giving them a good base for CRM. There was an article in Stockhead, the last one I'm going to read, about the renewal, and it was an interview with the CEO, a chap called Jakobsen, and he says that Dusk research shows that half of its shoppers already are male. So while the look and feel of the stores has been female-oriented, blokes felt comfortable visiting them. The trouble is they confine their visits to gift shopping around Mother's Day, Valentine's Day and Christmas. In a Bloke Things Up initiative, Dusk launched a Father's Day range of candle and room sprays for Edlinda bushwalking or sitting on the beach. It was so successful we sold out in 2 weeks, Jakobsen says. Dusk has also entered 3 product collaborations. These have been with confectionery maker Allen's, think of Killer Python scent, the Willy Wonka franchise, chocolate scented candles, and even HBO's White Lotus series, the floral and spicy incense of an upmarket Thai resort. That comes from Stockhead on the 10th of October. So, Cam, have you ever dreamt of bushwalking or sitting on the beach and lit a candle?
Funny, I was talking to Hunter about this the other day. It's my son Hunter for listeners. He's connected with some influencer in the US who has launched a range of her own candles,
Mm-hmm.
and she's selling them for like $150 a candle. And she's shooting really stylized sort of little TikTok videos that then lead into a thing. And apparently she's doing gangbusters in sales. And I was like, candles are interesting because there's one of those things that it's an easy gift for people, right?
Yeah.
You can give somebody a scented candle. It's kind of it's a lazy, no-loss gift. Everyone likes a scented candle, unless it's a terrible smell, right, I guess. But it's one of those things. Chrissy's students give her candles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People have given me candles before. It's like I think it's a really interesting product category. I'm not sure I'd pay $150 for a candle, but if I had endless amounts of money like you, I probably would, and she has like really weird, wacky, fancy flavors and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but yeah,
Yeah,
like I don't mind a smelly candle.
Okay. I had been given them, never lit them. Alex is big time into them. Probably noticed.
You
Dusk
said that the
from
last time we
back
talked
to
about
front.
Dusked. I looked up my notes. You said she was obsessed with them when she lived with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, it's not a product I'm familiar with. I've been into their stores because I'm, like looking at retail formats when they're new, or new to me. So, yeah, it's interesting though that this. I guess the point is it's a turnaround story, and they're trying things, and then it's try, learn, either get rid of or roll out. So it's a good retail approach. But all of that aside, whether I like them or not from a customer point of view, the numbers are compelling. So to go through the QAV numbers, as I said before, 90.5 cents was the share price when I did this analysis, which is 70% of consensus target. It's above our IV1 of 20 cents, but below IV2 of $1.20. IV2 is probably closer to what the market thinks of the possibilities for the share price rise. Stock Doctor financial health and trend is strong and steady. Stockopedia quality rank is 93, which is pretty good. Overall rank drops to 85 because they mark it down on momentum. And that makes sense. If you look at the share price graph over the last sort of 3 or 4 years since the high, it's dropped a lot. So that makes sense. But the F score on Stockopedia is 6 out of 9, which is good. That's the Piotrowski score. The yield is 7.7%, so it's above the mortgage rate. We score it for that. I'm talking of retailers with high yield. PE is high. It's 23.5 times, but just below the highest, so it's not the highest or the lowest. So it doesn't score either way for that. Prop CAF is only 2 times, 2.03 times. So this is a store network of 150 outlets plus an online business, and we can buy it for 2 times cash, which is just crazy. Net equity per share is 51 cents, so we can't buy the book value. Stock Doctor has an earnings per share growth forecast of over 200%. So they're buying into the turnaround story, I guess, but that's good. I guess they're taking the numbers from brokers who cover the stock. But that means growth over PE is 9 versus our threshold of 1.5. So it scores a 2 on the checklist for that. But, we've seen this before, Cam. A company which is forecast to grow at 200%, so more than double its earnings per share next year, we can buy it at 2 times cash flow. It's incredible.
Wow.
No owner founder, and I spoke before about the history of it. Brett Blundy and Catalyst sold out after the float. I don't know when Brett sold out, but Catalyst sold out after the float. However, the board does hold 6% of shares, so it's a healthy holding, but not at our threshold, not the founder. But a chap called John Joyce is the chairman. He holds 3.75%, and he has over 30 years' experience in senior roles in retail and supermarkets. He was the CEO of the Rebel Group. So we spoke about Rebel before, which is now part of the Super Retail Group. And he was managing director at Aldi. So pretty senior retail jobs. He would know his stuff. David McLean, another director, holds a further 2%, and he was the chief executive officer and managing director of Adairs for 14 years. And Adairs were bundled up with this company when they were sold to Catalyst. So he's now on the board too. So it's some pretty serious retail experience on the board, which is good. It's a new 3-point trend-line upturn. It doesn't have consistently increasing equity. So overall, it's 12 out of 16 or 75% for quality and 0.37 for QAV score. So it's quite high on our list. Strengths and risks. I'll take the comment from the article I read about comparisons to the reject shop and say this is a potential takeover target. Makes sense to me. But if it doesn't get taken over, it's still forecast to double earnings. Interest rate cuts will help this company, as it does all discretionary retailers. The turnover strategy seems to be working, so it's only just starting, so that's good. There's room to grow with that. It has a mountain of cash and inventory, as the article said. It's got a 7.7% yield, so you can buy it and get paid, with a dividend alone. On the risk side, it kind of flips around all those things I just said. So there's normal economic risks. Discretionary retailers are hit hardest when things get tight. If there are interest rate rises, which don't appear to be in the cards, but they could happen at some stage, they'll flow through and hurt sales as people tighten their pockets and buy cheaper candles or buy less candles. And I guess the other risk is any sort of misstep with the product refresh. So, for example, men really don't care about smelling like a forest. Then that will be an issue for them. But they seem to have enough retail experience to navigate through that. So, look, I like, my background's in retail. I like what I saw. It's only just above its buy price, so it may drop again. But yeah, have a look at it. It's on the buy list new this week.
Massage bars. That's what I go into Dusk for. They last forever, but Chrissy and I usually have a Dusk massage bar. It's like a hard massage thing, leaves an oily thing, give each other massages,
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that part of Fight Club? We shouldn't talk about Fight Club.
Well, I'm saying I'm
You
a
went
man.
to a massage bar
Actually, Chrissy and I
called
did
Dusk.
go. Well, we did go to a place. Thank you for that, by the way, Dusk. This is after hours. For my birthday, for her birthday in February, I gave her a voucher for a spa day at a place in West End called Soap Bathhouse. Saunas and spas and massages, and it's very White Lotus-y. We were sitting there going, I feel like I'm in White Lotus right now, except we were looking over a construction site in the middle of Brisbane.
You got to use the birthday present as well as Christmas.
Well, she hadn't used hers, and she got me the same package for my birthday.
Okay.
So we went and had a couple's day last week when Fox was on his school camp. And it was nice. But yeah, massages, yes. Getting back to that. So Dusk, I think of massage bars, yeah.
Right. Okay.
After hours, Tony. You want to talk about Scorsese?
I do. I loved it. You on Apple Plus, there's a documentary series, and I've forgotten what it's called, but anyway, it's probably just called Scorsese. It's fantastic. It's his life. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, which are quite long, but it's really high quality documentary, plenty of interviews, not just with, film stars that have been directed by Scorsese and Spielberg, etc. But people he grew up with, which is really interesting. He's kind of been put into a diner in New York with his buddies from the gang when he was a kid, and they're going over old situations, which is great. But the second episode is about the making of Mean Streets and Taxi Driver and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and it is fantastic. And there were things in there which I didn't know, and I've watched Taxi Driver a million times and loved De Niro and Scorsese, but I didn't realise that they grew up 2 streets apart from each other in New York, and so De Niro's being interviewed and Scorsese's being interviewed, and they said, yeah, we got together because we had a mutual friend, and I was casting for Mean Streets, and they said, oh, you got to see this guy from New York. He's perfect for the role of Johnny and in Mean Streets. And they turn up, and De Niro goes, I know you, and Scorsese goes, I know you, and then they were 2 streets apart. They knew each other as kids. De Niro was called Johnny the Hat by Scorsese's gang because he used to get around in the hat. And when you see Mean Streets, Johnny wears hats all the time in Mean Streets, and it's great. But they interview one of Scorsese's childhood friends who was the role model for that character, and he's kind of reluctant to come on and be interviewed, and but he's super cool. I don't know how old he's, in his 80s or whatever. And yeah, it's just really great to hear all these stories. I was telling you off air about how De Niro made a movie for Roger Corman, Boxcar Bertha, with David Carradine, and it was a pretty straightforward rip-off of Bonnie and Clyde. And he was out in Hollywood and California trying to break into the film circle over there, and he was getting friends with Spielberg but also Milius and Coppola and all that kind of crowd. And he made this Corman flick, and they all said, no, we don't want to know you now. You're not going to make movies for money.
They all got started
there's
with
no Ortega.
Corman. Lucas and Coppola, they all worked for Corman.
Anyway, that's the series. So yeah, possibly. So Scorsese goes back to New York. He's casting around. What am I going to do? I still want to make movies. Cassavetes, who is that famous cinema verite director, was still a friend, and he walked over, hugged Scorsese. I love you, but you got to make a movie from your heart, not for cash. Scorsese says, I got this script about me growing up, Mean Streets, about people in my gang and my neighborhood and stuff. Cassavetes loves it. You got to cast it, puts people together. They get De Niro in. Keitel, who'd been in Scorsese's student. Because in the first episode, it goes through Scorsese like this sickly kid. Like all the other kids he's growing up with, they're all going into the Cosa Nostra and, they're all becoming some kind of small businessman or whatever. He's really sickly, can't really live in that world. And he goes through, he says, I almost died of asthma as a kid, and we used to live in a tenement 3 stories up, and I used to see the world below as everyone was playing from up above. And he went through and then showed basically every one of his movies has a high shot looking down that pans across from left to right, which is him looking out of his window down at it. And he goes through all this kind of stuff. It's fantastic. So he goes to NYU. It's up the block from where he was growing up. Falls in at the time of the Vietnam War protests, falls into the film school there, gets mesmerized by a professor, his friends go to shoot the Woodstock movie up in upstate New York, and but he's never credited on the film, and it wins an Oscar for Best Director or Best Documentary. And he's really upset because they all go to California and get jobs in Hollywood, and he's left behind. So it's always about him trying to get to be a part of a group and being ostracized. And one of the people that they interview says, you got to understand all of Scorsese's movies about outsiders who make it good. That's Scorsese retelling his story over and over and over again. So about, the Wolf of Wall Street, trying to make it big in Wall Street, getting kicked out, making lots of money. All these stories are about Scorsese. It's a really good documentary. So he makes Mean Streets, takes it to Cannes. He's had to battle all the way with the studio because it's violent. They don't want to release it. They threaten to hold the print. He threatens to break in and steal it. The censors threaten it with the next rating. He comes up with the idea eventually to desaturate all the blood colour in it back to brown and make the final scene grainy where he shoots up the pimp. And so that gives them the next rating below X, so it's R, I think, rather than X. But it gets a wider release. They take it to Cannes. By this stage, De Niro and Scorsese are just shell shocked. Like, what have we done? No one wants to see this. No one wants to release it. We had to fight really hard to get it to be released outside of porno, theaters and drive-ins. They stay in their rooms in Cannes. They don't go to any of the press. Jodie Foster, who's like 14 or 15, does all the press.
Here she was.
Yeah, does all the press for it in Cannes. They bug out, fly back to New York before the official showing, get back to New York, get a phone call. Hey, you won the Palme d'Or.
Fly back?
No, they didn't. It already happened. And then
Right.
I think it was, one of his buddies says, hey, you got to go and see. The Taxi Driver opens in one cinema in New York. He says, hey, go and see it. There's a line around the block. And they're not buying gold bullion. They're going to see Taxi Driver, and it becomes a big hit.
Great
full
film.
of good stories.
Well, I looked it up. It's called Mr. Scorsese, the documentary series, and it's directed by Rebecca Miller, a.k.a. Lady Day-Lewis, because she's married to Daniel Day-Lewis,
right.
and she's the daughter of Arthur Miller. She was born in 1962, not to Marilyn Monroe, but his third wife, Inga Morath, an Austrian photographer. Imagine being Arthur Miller's wife after Marilyn Monroe. I mean, how do you compete with that, really? Very good. Well, I don't have Apple TV, but I guess I will see it at some point.
Yeah, it's worth watching.
I'm halfway through watching Elephant Man, which I've never seen before.
Oh, you've never seen it? Really?
Never seen it, because in my head, it's not really a Lynch film.
Oh, it very much is a Lynch film.
Well, yes, it is as you watch it. I mean, it's not as weird as a Lynch film. I mean, you go from Eraserhead to that. I mean, it has nothing really apart from black and white and some of the weird sort of soundtrack. There's always like gas burning and all that kind of really Steam offsetting. Yeah. But Tony Hopkins is great in it.
But it's also it's a very stylized way of shooting it. It's like lots of close-ups on people, lots of zoom-ins on people who have almost stilted delivery, emotional delivery. It's not natural in the way it's shot.
Didn't have that impression, but it's beautifully shot. And I mean, I do think it's more like Straight Story. It's more of a mainstream kind of Lynch film. But anyway, really enjoying it. And glad I finally sat down and watched it. It just turned up on HBO Max or something. And I was like, oh, God, I've never seen this. How can I have never seen this? I got to sit down and give it a watch. I tell you, Tony Hopkins is always just great.
Yeah.
I mean, his ability to deliver a line is magnificent. And Bancroft is marvelous in it. I think it was, Mel Brooks made it. I saw Lynch, I've seen Lynch talk about how Mel Brooks gave him the opportunity to make it many, many times. And he was making films as a vehicle for Anne Bancroft, and she's marvelous in it. Always loved Anne Bancroft, but I can't remember the last thing I saw her in. But she's terrific. As is John Hurt.
Patrick Cargill, from memory, I think, is in it. Does a great role. Is it Patrick Cargill, one of the other English actors?
John Gielgud's in it, but
no, the guy who originally is the owner of the Elephant Man and displays him.
So that is not Terry Jones, something Jones.
Okay. Anyway, he's good. And of course,
he is
John
fantastic.
Hurt, amazing.
Yeah.
I've always been a huge John Hurt fan. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. He's fantastic in it. Obviously, difficult performance to get across that kind of humanity under all of that makeup. The Freddie Jones is the name of the actor who plays the original owner, who was then in Dune, Lynch's Dune, among other things. But yes, he's a great old British actor.
Yeah.
What else have I got?
Good,
I finished iRobot and loved it. Loved it. Slow start, but I'm glad I persisted with it. Oh, is there? Okay.
The rest of the robots, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if what I read was. It felt like an anthology, but it's all the Susan Calvin
It
story,
is.
so I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's Rest of the Robots, more Calvin stories, yeah.
Well, I think that was probably everything that I read because she dies at the end of the last one that I read.
Oh, okay.
But it was great, like the philosophical questions that he posed about
Mm,
alignment, what we call alignment these days
right.
between robots and humans, is it was, I mean, so brilliant. He was so far ahead of his time thinking about
Mm.
the issues that we're now dealing with in real life in 2025, 75 years later. Amazing. And then when I finished that, I started reading Gravity's Rainbow, Thomas
Oh,
Pynchon, for
really?
the first time. You ever read Pynchon?
I have, yeah, a couple of years ago, actually. I've read
I
Gravity's Rainbow a couple of years ago, but I've read other Pynchon too.
Well, I already had it in my books, and I think it was because you told me about it, and I don't think I
Right.
ever got around to starting it. So I read a thing about him in the New York Times recently, and they were talking about what a great author he was. And I think I was going to start one of his. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's intense.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
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 Um,
It is, I mean, just for people out there who haven't picked it up, it's got some crazy plot lines in there about the V1 bombers targeting the bedrooms of an agent who's been sleeping with different people in London, and someone's trying to work it out and work out the probabilities of where it's going to land next. And then, but that's like, that's the plot. And that's as much as you get of it, because it just goes off into all sorts of different intricate and arcane meanderings, really.
an intense style he has.
Mm.
Do you know American comedian called Tim Robinson? Ever seen any
No,
of his stuff?
I don't think so.
Um,
No. Wasn't there an
uh,
author called, was it Tim Robinson or Tom Robinson?
Possibly, don't know. Oh yeah,
Even
Tom
Cowgirls Get the
Robertson.
Blues. Yeah.
This guy was on SNL for a few years, like over a decade ago, but he's had a couple of shows that we've really loved. One was called Detroiters, and one was called I Think You Should Leave. And he's got a new show called The Chair Company, which is only a couple of episodes in. We've only seen the first episode, but it's terrific. He tends to play really really angry white men who just get angry over nothing, and bit sort of John Cleese style. Like he's just feels like the world is conspiring against him, and he has this uncontrollable anger inside of him that comes out in inappropriate ways. This new show, the Chair Company, he's a office executive and he's doing a big presentation and it goes well and he's in front of the entire business and he sits on a chair and it breaks and everyone laughs at him and it sort of ruins his self-esteem, and then he starts believing there's a conspiracy from this chair company. He starts hunting down this chair company and he can't find them because it's just a name with like a registered office, and he goes on this mad conspiratorial hunt for this chair company that made him look bad, just taking out all of his, white middle class anger on this chair company that made him look like a fool. Anyway, he's got a particular style. I don't know if everyone would appreciate it, but we really love it. Just these guys that just are angry for no particular reason. He's got a good family, wife, kids. They love him. He's got a good job. Everything should be going great, but he's just angry for some reason and he can't contain it. Anyway, I think that's on Max. Check it out.
Yeah. It sounds a bit like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
It's a bit like that, but it's different because Larry's just rich enough that he doesn't need to care what people think.
Yeah, but he
This
gets really
guy's
angry over
he
nothing.
does get
Oh,
over nothing. Yeah, yeah. Um, Harry Vander's got a new track out. Did you
oh,
catch
really?
that? Yeah,
No.
called Devil Loose. He's like 80 and he's just come out with a new
Wow.
track. I think you'd dig it. It's very sort of Vander and Youngy, good
Yeah, good.
riffs, called
Uh-huh.
Devil Loose. He's just talking about how crazy the world is. Yeah, 80 years old, just came out with a new single. So we were talking, they had that thing a couple of months ago, like the Triple J top Australian songs of all time kind of
Mm,
thing. And I don't know how many of those would be Vander and Young tracks, but there'd have to be at least
should be.
6, 10 of those in the top 100. So I didn't even know he was still around, but that was great to see. And then we have our Kung Fu grading this week, back to Kung Fu Fight Club. So we passed our pre-assessment. I think the last time I was talking to you, we had to do our pre-assessment. We passed that.
Yeah,
So
okay. Yeah.
this Friday, into the ring, 2 hours of getting punched in the face. So that should
Is that
be
what
fun.
it is? Seriously.
Well, the first hour of it is demonstrating all of our techniques and our form. So we have to do baseball bat defense, knife. So people running at me with a baseball bat, we need to defend ourselves against an aluminium
I,
baseball bat being swung at our
I
head.
just, I just had a vision of the Monty Python sketch. John
Wet
Cleese.
fish or a
No,
baseball
no.
bat?
I'm going to show you how to defend yourself with a banana. Come at me with a banana.
Yeah. The whole thing, the rest of the fruits. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to do knife defense, a whole bunch of spurious techniques. But then the second hour is basically sparring. So those of us that are grading, and there's only a couple of us, are in the middle of the room, and then they have a line of 20 black belts that come in 1 minute at a time, and they cycle through, and we just keep going. We don't get a break. It's just go, go, go. People coming in and attacking you, and you're having to defend yourself against these people that are fresh. You're knackered, and it just goes on for half an hour to an hour until you fall over. And the Sifu, he wants you to tire you out to see when you're tired and you have nothing left in the tank. How can you defend yourself? Because he says, fights they're not necessarily over in a minute, right? Fights can go on a long time. So what matters is when you're exhausted, can you still keep your hands up and keep your guard up and move and handle the situation? So I will get punched in the nose many times, and it's still broken. So that should be fun. Anyway,
what
so that's
grading
this
will
week.
you be if you pass that?
This is the second brown belt for us, level 6 in our system. So the next one is our black belt. So next year we'll be ready to do our black belt, or the year after, depending on how long we go.
So is Chrissy going to also be subject to exactly the same force you're being subjected to?
Yes.
They don't
But
take it easy on females or they don't do female? No?
No. I mean, look, no one's in there to kill us. It's not like deliberately full contact, but it's, we're wearing gloves and mouth guards and stuff. And
right.
Chrissy got injured 2 weeks ago.
So it's like a real fight.
We're not trying to kill each other, but,
Yeah, okay.
adrenaline,
Still tough.
people throw stuff, you misjudge, you walk into things. Yeah, what we always get told is, in a real fight, if you're lucky, you might block one punch. Now, he always says, it doesn't matter how good you are. There's a limited number of attacks you can block. One's always going to get through, right? So you try and shut it down on the first one, because everyone after that, there's a higher percentage that you're going to miss it and it's going to hit you. But yeah, Chrissy's been punched and kicked, and she's always full of bruises and corked muscles and everything like I am. She hasn't had anything broken yet like I have. But people will go harder on me because I'm me. Everyone.
Well, you've antagonized everyone in the dojo, have you?
Pretty much. Yeah.
You're going to wear a T-shirt in there saying, come on, is that all you got?
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Good
thanks.
luck.
It's good.
Wow. And you pay for that, do you?
I do, to get
Well, you should video it.
beaten up.
Should
Fox will be
create
videoing
a-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, should put it up. Even so we can see how to defend ourselves from a knife attack or a baseball attack and whatever
Alright.
else.
I'll post some video
Instructional.
of baseball
Instructional
bat,
kung fu.
knife bat defense. Yeah.
Yeah. So no one's going to sneak up behind you with a baseball bat, one punch, grading over. 'Cause that's how a fight works, right?
Yes. Yeah. Hard to
Gotta be-
defend
gotta
yourself
be-
against sneak attacks, though,
Yeah.
unless you're a ninja. Yeah.
I remember being in Caxton Street in Brisbane one New Year's Eve and someone coming out of an alleyway in the dark and just one punching me.
Really?
And retreating
Wow.
again. Oh yeah. 'Cause that's what you got to defend yourself against, Cam. You don't see it
What
coming.
happened to you?
Oh,
Like,
I stumbled
Did you?
and then
Yeah.
stood up and he'd gone. He ran back into his hidey hole wherever he was from. And I stumbled and got up, and I remember there was a guy on the other side of the road at a table overlooking Caxton Street that came racing over. "You okay, mate? Let me buy you a beer." And took me over to his group of friends and looked after me, and yeah, had a few beers with them. He's like, "We thought you were gone. We thought you were gone." And I'm like, "Oh, I just
Wow.
got hit and got up again." It was fine to me, but it must have
So
been,
the
must have
guy
looked a
didn't
lot
mug
worse.
you or anything? He just didn't like
No,
the
no.
look of you?
Some
Just,
people just like to hit a guy, big
yeah,
guy.
tall rangers. I mean, you're a walking
Yeah.
target, really, aren't you?
Well, I think just big guys in general. There's always some little guy out there who wants to jump
Have a
you.
crack. Yeah.
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 When I
All
was younger.
right. You got any golf or horse news?
Horse news. I've got Quello Dorato running tomorrow, which people may not hear in time, but Wednesday at Geelong. And Double Market was scratched from the Evoca Cup on Saturday, and she'll run on Friday night at Moonee Valley.
You had any wins lately?
No, Best was a second with Lake Forest a couple of weeks ago. So that's not too bad.
Well, good luck. Hope you get a winner.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And Steve Mab's in Double Market with me, so it'll be doubly good if we can get a win.
When we were talking to Gabriel, and he was talking at some point about horses, and I know we were talking about horses. We were talking about Steve and Mab, and I was going to point out at one point that you and Steve had a horse, but opportunity didn't arise. All right, let's go talk about the US market. We're going to talk about eggs. Eggs, very exciting. I'm very excited to talk about eggs. All right, have a good week, everyone.
Yep.